Hello, today Alex, Kevin, and I will be talking about the Russia-Saudi Arabia price war that happened recently. A small background on it. US oil began booming in 2014 due to revolutionary shale oil technology development. The US went from importing oil to becoming its largest producer. Rather than paying for Russia or Saudi Arabian oil, it was becoming a top competitor. The two largest oil exporters were forced to respond to the new market share. Saudi-run OPEC responded later in 2014 by flooding the market with oil to plunge the prices so low that the newer US oil firm would suffer. Doing this confidently with the Saudi billions of foreign exchange reserves. However, while Saudi Arabia asked for Russia's cooperation to flood the market, they did not increase production, leaving Saudi Arabia to shoulder the burden of the flooding. The US firms persisted through the price plunge, emerging stronger, while Russia and Saudi Arabia were able to cut their losses by selling the cheap oil to China. In future years, Saudi Arabia-led OPEC continued to lower oil production output as US oil continued exporting, leading to US becoming the greatest oil producer in 2018. Fast forward to March 6th, COVID-19 has crippled the speed of global economy, halting airlines, factories, and creating a steep demand for oil. OPEC and Russia meet to discuss a solution to the sudden drop in demand. Saudi Arabia suggests a total cut of 1 million barrels of oil a day, but with Russia covering the majority, 500,000 barrel drop. It's bad for Russia. Doing so would be in hopes to keep the price of oil high to generate more revenue with low quantities. Russia rejected the deal, causing the price of oil to plummet even further. In retaliation, Saudi Arabia announced over the next days that it would significantly increase oil production as a counter. The price of oil had its biggest one-day drop since 1991 as conditions presented by COVID virus worsened the situation. Now, Alex will talk about the political and ethical implications.
So the political and ethical issues, with the price of oil decreasing in correlation with the dependence of this industry for both Russia and Saudi, they would like to drop out of the market share contenders, mainly the US shale oil industry, to enhance the longevity of their political power as a nation. With each nation in a prisoner's dilemma situation where lowering quantity will result in higher price at the cost of your nation's overall revenue, a positive for all competitors but a negative for local revenue, while increasing quantity creates a positive for local revenues in the market, capitalization, and a negative for everyone in a lower price. All nations will need to take measures to protect their own interests and will act accordingly. Russia's situation is about protecting their political power and interests with the Saudi, protecting their budget. So for example, in the past deals, including Saudi Arabia, they've have been the one to take the largest cuts of production. And this would come from the fact that their budget and economy is severely dependent on oil as a commodity. In each case, protecting their own interests does not lead to favorable outcomes for either party, hence forming an agreement is imperative. Further, in the US position, they have protectionism front, will need to protect jobs, especially with Trump's main concern for his re-election for campaign. Regarding the ethical aspects of the oil industry, we need to acknowledge that oil is a highly sought after commodity with large reliance on it. Hence, OPEC wants to reduce oil production for the environmental benefits as well as increasing non-oil industries' production relative to the oil industry. Kevin will now talk about the economic issues.
So with China being the largest importer of oil, with them turning back large amounts of oil tankers from the factories and airlines are closing down due to the coronavirus, the decrease in demand has left a high excess of oil supply. Hence, negative pricing of oil, meaning suppliers are paying consumers to take this oil. Given Saudi Arabia and Russia own a large portion of the oil commodity and they're commanding that market, they are heavily reliant on the success of this commodity. However, with an excess global supply of oil, it is beneficial for consumers given that oil costs make up a hefty expense. And furthermore, with oil being highly lucrative to the Russian economy and heavily relied upon in Saudi Arabia's economy, it places both of their economies in jeopardy. And regarding the recommendations, so on April 2nd, the US called Saudi Arabia and Russia to form a meeting, and the US threatened to withdraw military aid if OPEC and its allies did not cut oil production. So the next day, Russian President Vladimir Putin initiated a meeting with OPEC and OPEC Plus, agreeing to cut global oil supply by 10%. Saudi Arabia and Russia will each reduce output by 8.5 million barrels per day, with the aggregate supply being cut by 23%. And we recommend that OPEC urge the US to cooperate with them with the oil production cuts in the future, as one of the major oil competitors should, and they should be accountable for their ethical contributions to society and oil price regulation. However, unfortunately, these meetings and agreements are not enforceable by OPEC. Thank you.